Hey guys, thank you for stopping in. This is Onyx EDU, and this is our financial hub for all the different topics that can make you well-rounded when it comes to financial literacy. So today, we're gonna be talking about credit and educating you on what exactly credit is. So let's get started.
That is Josh, and I'm Christian. So what we're gonna be going over today is credit. Why it's important, what do you need to know, and how can you use that to transform your business. So let's take a step back for a second. And instead of thinking about credit in a traditional sense, let's think about credit in a sense that we all know it. Reputation. When it comes to credit, when you think about it, it's based on your reputation with that lender, that financial institution, or even that person you're borrowing money for. So let me give you an example. Let me give you an example that everybody knows. Josh, let me borrow Josh, let me borrow 10 bucks. All right, so Josh's answer is gonna tell me everything I need to know about my reputation with him, right? If he gives me the $10, he thinks that I'm a financially responsible person, pays his bills on time, I'm a lend-worthy person. If he doesn't, that tells me that I should have paid him back before, or I just don't have that financial standing, so he doesn't know me well enough to let me borrow money. When you go to a bank, those same principles apply. Do you have a good financial reputation with him? All right, so now that we've gone over what your credit reputation is, let's speak specifically about credibility, right? So when we think of credibility, you want to think of legitimacy, right? So when you think of credibility, you think of when you show up to a job interview, are you in your shirt and tie? When you show up to class, do you have the pencil and paper you need to be able to be effective? What that comes down to is, are you using your financial instruments effectively? So what that means is, when you show up to your credit card application, do you spell your name correctly? Do you put down the correct information? All those things matter when you're submitting your credit application for whether you get approved or not. And let me give you a good example why. When lenders look at your credit report, my name is Christian Williams. There's 10,000 Christian Williams. When I put my address on, do I put the correct address? When I put my birthday, do I put the correct birthday? When I put my social, do I put the correct social? All those things add to my credibility, and even more than that. The last time that I put it in the application, is the information the same or is it different every single time? The reason that's important is, if somebody owed you $20 today, we're gonna say that I borrowed $20 from you. If I move every 3 months, are you likely to give me money? No. So these are things that lenders take into account. We're gonna go into much more detail about it later, but these are things that lenders take into account when they're trying to make a decision as to whether they should lend you money or not. So remember, when thinking about credibility, when you think about credit, you wanna think of two different things. You wanna think of credibility, which is professionalism. Are you putting your best face and best foot forward? And more than anything else, Warren Buffett said this, reputation. Do you have a good reputation with the people that you've asked to borrow money from, or do you not? All right, so I want to introduce you guys to the credit circle. Now, excuse my circle, it took a little morphing. It's more of like a pie that you shaped with a Doughboy at Pizza Hut, but let's not mind the shape, let's mind the content. So the reason this is the credit report, or the credit circle, is because this is exactly how your credit report is made up. It's made up of your payment history, the amounts owed, the length of the credit history, new credit accounts, and types of credit accounts. So let's go into each one specifically. With payment history, which is the biggest part here, it's very cut and dry. Have you made your payments on time and for how long? So if you've made 100% of your payments on time for the last 10 years, that's gonna give you the full 35% in this category. If you don't, you're gonna lose points and it's gonna adversely affect it. That's why, guys, the most important thing, pay those bills on time. The next thing we wanna talk about is the amount owed. Very simple. If you have a credit card with a $1,000 limit on it, you have to keep that balance, or the amount that you owe on the credit card, less than 20% to get the full 30% of the points, right? So I'm throwing out numbers, guys. Let's make this very simple. A rule of thumb, keep your balances below 1/4. If you have a $1,000 credit card, keep that amount under $250. If you have a $10,000 credit card, keep that amount under $2,500. As long as you keep those numbers down, you're gonna get the full 30% and your credit score is gonna shoot up. Let's talk about the smaller portion of the credit chart, where it's not as many points, but it's just as important. The length of credit history. Now see this one right here, this is a mistake that a lot of people make. They're 18 years old, they're financially irresponsible, so they decide not to get a credit card. That can actually end up haunting you later, because if you wait till you're 23, 24, 40 before you start to work on your credit report, you're always going to be losing these points. That's why we encourage people to start credit early and to fight that urge and be responsible. Because at the end of the day, this clock doesn't start ticking until you have your first line of credit. This is new credit. So the way I like to explain this is, nobody likes the person that's always looking for new credit. If you're every single day, every single month, every single week, you're looking for new lines of credit, new lines of credit, new lines of credit, banks are gonna penalize you because they're thinking like, man, you just got done asking all these people and now you're coming for me to get money. I wonder what happened in all those other situations. And so they count that against you. This specifically refers to the number of inquiries on your credit report. So that's why you don't want to be searching for credit every couple of months. You want to space those out as best as you possibly can. And then this one right here, this is a secret category not a lot of people understand. This is types of credit. Perfect example, if you have 10 different credit cards, you only have one type of credit, so you're not going to fully be able to take advantage of this. A good type of credit spread would be someone with a short-term loan of 6 months to a year, someone with a car loan of 5 years, someone with a credit card, and someone with a mortgage for 30 years. Those different types of credit are all going to build into this category. So when we talked about credibility earlier, understanding this pie chart is just like showing up to class with a pencil and paper ready to take notes. You have to understand how the credit game works so you can take full advantage of it. All right, so this last part is the most important part. We're gonna tell you about what your future looks like with bad credit versus good credit. And we're gonna talk about a couple places where a lot of people don't necessarily know the credit is adversely affecting them. Let's start right here. No job. What do you mean by that, Christian? I've got a job and I've got bad credit. This doesn't affect me. Let me tell you a stat that most people don't know. The majority of employers in America right now will do a soft pull on your credit report to find out what type of borrower are you, because research shows that if you're really, really high in debt, you're much more likely to be adversely affected in your work performance. Well, Christian, my boss would never do that. My company would never do that. They're not obligated to let you know this. So when you fill out that information on your resume and you send out your application everywhere, and you're applying for job after job after job, and you can't figure out why you can't get it, a lot of people don't know that the difference between you and the other candidate is they've got a better credit score and they've got a better financial history. So there's a lot of job opportunities that are people working that people miss out on because they don't have the credit history that they need in order to get that job. Let me go over some specifics. If you want to work at a bank, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase, even companies like AT&T and Verizon, they all do credit pulls. And what they do is they want to know that if you're going to be handling money in people's finances, you're creditworthy. So the difference between no job and a great job is a great credit score versus a bad credit score. So you have to think about that when managing your credit. Well, Christian, what is this stuff about a car and $30K and a car and $10,000? Well, the difference between good credit and bad credit isn't just whether you can get approved for a car, but it's also the amount that you pay. Studies find that if you have a really, really bad credit score and you have to get what's called subprime or higher interest rate, 29 to 30%, you're gonna be paying for that same $10,000 car, you're gonna be paying up to 3 times that amount. So if you and I went to the same dealership and got the same car and we drove it out, blue car, leather seats, I can pay $10,000 because I have great credit. That same exact car, you'd be paying $30,000 just because you have bad credit. So that's another thing to take into account when we talk about your credit future. And this one here, this is a big one that most people already know. The difference between getting financed for a mortgage and not getting financed has everything to do with your credit score. But let's talk about renting. Did you have to put down a security deposit, first and last month's rent, and income verification? All those additional steps that you have to take in order to even rent a house. And we're not talking about buying, we're talking about renting. To rent a house, you can get completely disqualified for living in the neighborhood of your dreams just because of your credit score. So guys, when we're talking about you've got a great job, you've got a great price on a car, you've got a great house in a great neighborhood, all those things are dependent solely on your credit score and almost nothing else. And then this is a huge one here. The difference between getting a business and having no business is, well, do you have the money to get your business started? And we're gonna talk about a lot later, but I just want you guys to understand the concept here is you can have the business of your dreams just by having the great score and being able to utilize that to get funded. Where you're not going to be able to start the business the way you want to if you don't have the credit in place. So guys, if you want that nice house, if you want that nice car, if you want the job of your dreams, you have to know how to manage your personal finances. All it comes down to is, what is your credit reputation? Do you have a great reputation with your banks? Are you paying everything on time? Do you owe huge sums of money? Do you know the different types of credit to get? All those things are important in order to be successful in the future. And guys, if you can just take the tips that you learned today and apply those, you're gonna have a great credit future. And you know what? You're gonna have a great successful business. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Christian was able to give us a lot of information about what credit is, good credit and bad credit. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great one. Peace.